John, can I get you to clap your hands? Perfect. And go around, sit, settle down, and how's the sound of that clock, Justin?
It's barely in there.
Do you want to get rid of it?
Where
Yeah.
is it?
Wow. I must be going deaf.
I couldn't hear it until he brought it up.
We just go over our way to
The
let's cut.
microphone.
cut everything?
Yeah, I'm trying to.